Hey, this is George Antill for IRC. We're here at the Green Army Motorsports facility, and we're here to discuss the IriTrack Advanced Communication System used in off-road racing. And we're going to kind of just show you right off the bat. This is the power cord that you'll get in your package. It comes with the, you can see the fuse right here, and you'll have that wiring harness. You'll also have a bag of bolts. These bolts are special bolts. You'll be able to use these with the bracket. They're to be used for the bracket. We'll talk about that later. Also, you got two antennas. This one here is your iridium antenna, and you have the other antenna, which is your GPS antenna. You get two antennas with this system. Here's the bracket we just talked about with the bolts. This bracket should be mounted, there's only a couple ways this thing should be mounted in the race car. We'll go over that shortly. And the last but not least, your IriTrack unit. We talked about that as the advancement on this thing for communication in racing. You can see the red button, the blue button, the green button, the yellow button. You flip it around, here's the power cord. You got your two antennas, and that's the unit that you'll put in at the very end after you mount everything. So we'll talk about all these units coming up next. Hey, installation of your IriTrack unit. Now you got to remember, this is the power cable. It's very important that you wire this thing directly to your power. Now you know how you have an on and off switch in your race car. You don't want it on the other side of the on and off switch. What happens is if something goes on with your race car and you shut the race car down with your power switch, you'll lose all the power to the IriTrack unit. So make sure you wire this thing to the power side of your battery. You want to be right to the battery. Very important. All right, second, we've got the antennas, two different antennas that go to this unit. Now you remember, we talked about the iridium. This is the iridium antenna. You can see the differences. You can't mix them up. They're different size. The ends are different. This is the iridium antenna. All right, second antenna is your GPS antenna. You'll see that right on here, GPS. You can't miss it. It has also the smaller of the two. You can see it. They're going to go on the box that way. Now remember, one thing to point out, if you look right back here, there's a Lawrence antenna on top of this hood that we're using right here for demonstration. You want to keep both these antennas, if you mounted them on this roof, they want to be 18 inches from any other antenna. So you can keep, these two can be together, but you got to keep these two antennas 18 inches away from any other antenna. Another thing, when you wire them together, make sure that you put them together in the same loom. Don't wire these to the rest of your wires in the race car, okay? You want to keep these separately wired together to go to your IriTrack unit, okay? Okay, right here we got the IriTrack bracket. Now, very important on this bracket, the bolts that we talked about that come with this, you have to use special bolts for this. You can see right here, as we place the bolt inside, there's not a lot of room and tolerance in here for the IriTrack unit. So when the mounting screws that they supply you with from IRC, you want to use those. If you lose them, get a hold of them, they'll get you some more. But it's very important. These are special bolts, so make sure you do it right. All right, on the bracket, what you want to do is make sure, there's a couple different ways to put this in. Probably the best place to mount it would be up above the dash. And you want to have it as close to the co-driver and the driver as possible. Remember, you're in the co-seat, you're the driver of the race car. Say your co-driver gets knocked out, somebody's got to get over there and be able to push the buttons. So you want to have this thing mounted in the race car where both of you guys can get to it. So if you look at the bracket itself, the one way you don't want to have it face, let's just continue, like you guys are looking right at me, the camera, you don't want to put the bracket mounted like this facing the front of the race car. You want to keep it like this, okay? You can mount it like this, you can mount it like this, you can mount it like this, sideways on the side of your car. Any way you want to mount it, you can mount it up top, above, by the roof up there like this. Any way you can mount this thing, wherever you want to mount it, remember, you don't want to mount it like this, facing the front, okay? And the reason for that is when the vehicle, if it does go upside down, it's facing the wrong direction. So make sure that when you mount this thing in the race car, pretty much this is the way you want to have it. You can have it this way. You can mount it on the side like this. But like we said before, do not mount it with these screws and this faceplate facing the front of the race car. All right, hey, we're going to talk about the buttons here. Very important to make sure you get the right buttons, what they do, and how they operate. The first button here on the left is the red button. This is an emergency button. If you push this button, you're going to activate. They think at the main center at IRC there's an emergency going down. Now let's say you come up on another race car that's flipped over and is upside down, two drivers not moving. What you want to do is go inside that race car, push their red button right here on their race car. That is very important to make sure, so that they know that that car is down. Okay, the red button, emergency only. Do not use that other than emergencies only. And might be a short time, somebody will get to you, but after a couple people can come by, they might push a red button just like we were talking about. They'll get somebody to you as quick as possible. All right, the blue button next to the red button is a phone button. You push that button, you can feel it as you push it, it releases. All you have to do is push it, let it release. You don't have to do anything other than somebody will come on the line at the IRC Communication Center, will talk to you. So if you need to talk to somebody at IRC, you're broke down, you're stuck in the road, you need some help, push that blue button, they'll come on the phone and talk to you. The green button is a non-emergency button. Let's say you come up on a booby trap in a race course, you see something wrong. Push that green button, and what happens is more guys start pushing the green button in the same area, they'll figure out something's wrong. It's a non-emergency button that you want to use. So the green button, like I said, other people might be pushing the same button for something on the race course. Push that green button and should notify communication center will say, hey, we've had 2 or 3 race cars pushing a green button. Could be a booby trap, could be something going wrong in that area, something out there. It's a non-emergency, but it's something that needs to be looked at. So remember that green button. Now the yellow button over here, you don't really have to worry about. This unit is powered up the whole time. That button is not there for your use at all. It's powered up all the time, so disregard the yellow button. Pretty much that covers all the buttons on this unit. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut from here, and we're going to show you how one of these goes in a real race car. We're all finished with installing the fixation kit of the IriTrack system correctly. It's all installed. Now we're ready to install the IriTrack unit itself to finish this process. See, we slide it in. We put the bracket in straight across. As we go, we got the pin, a locking pin to hold that bracket in, and it's in. We go behind the unit. Now remember what we talked about earlier, you got to install the antennas first. So you've got the GPS antenna and your iridium antenna. 2 antennas are hooked up, and now the power cord gets hooked up. You can see and you can hear it fire up. You can see the lights lighting up right now. You see the GPS and the iridium lights lighting up, and the power button are all light up. We're ready to go. We're ready to go racing wherever you're racing. So thank you very much for joining us here on the website at IRC. And if you have any other questions, go to the website, check out stuff, but we'll see you next time at the races. Hey, we're all done here. You can see everything's working properly. We want to thank Green Army Motorsports over here, Josh and the gang, and keep an eye on those guys at the races, but letting us use their facilities here to show you how to install, how to operate, and make everything work with your IriTrack unit, and make sure everything works properly out there in the racing world.